In this video, I will discuss 11 things that I wish I had known about sex before I had my first experience. These tips can help newbies feel more comfortable and informed when it comes to sex. So, if you're curious about what you should know before your first time, watch this video to the end. There's no one right way to have sex. Sex is an intimate and personal experience, and everyone has their own preferences. What one individual may find enjoyable may not be so for another. That's why it's important to understand that there is no one right way to have sex. Experimenting with different positions, techniques, and activities can help you and your partner discover what works best for both of you. Being open and honest about your desires and expectations will also help you have a more enjoyable experience. Sex can be enjoyable even if it doesn't lead to orgasm. Having an orgasm is not the sole purpose of having sex. Many people enjoy the pleasure and intimacy of sex without experiencing an orgasm. For some, the act of intercourse itself can be pleasurable, even if they don't reach a climax. There are also other forms of sexual activity that don't require intercourse and can be just as enjoyable, such as manual stimulation, oral sex, and mutual masturbation. 3. Foreplay is important. Foreplay is an essential part of a good sexual experience, but many people don't realize just how important it is. Foreplay serves as an important bridge between arousal and intercourse, helping to make the transition smoother and more enjoyable. It can also help to create a more intimate connection between partners. Foreplay is different for everyone. It can involve activities such as kissing, caressing, massaging, and oral sex. It can also include verbal communication about what feels good and what doesn't. Whatever activities you engage in, the goal of foreplay is to build anticipation, pleasure, and connection. Foreplay is particularly important for women because it can help to increase lubrication and arousal, making sex more comfortable and enjoyable. Without sufficient foreplay, women may experience discomfort or even pain during intercourse. So if you're having trouble getting aroused or enjoying intercourse, try adding some foreplay into your routine. Lube can make sex more enjoyable. When it comes to having sex, lube can be a game changer. Many people don't realize just how helpful lube can be. Not only does lube help with increased pleasure and comfort during sex, but it can also prevent small tears or abrasions that can occur without it. It also helps to create a smoother experience and reduce friction during sex. There are a variety of different types of lube available. Water-based lubes are usually the most popular and easily accessible. They are non-staining, long-lasting, and easy to clean up. Oil-based lubes are usually thicker and longer-lasting, but they can't be used with condoms or silicone toys. Silicone lubes are even longer-lasting than oil-based ones, but they can be a bit harder to clean up. No matter what type of lube you choose, it can make sex more enjoyable for both partners. So don't be afraid to use it. 5. Condoms are important for STI prevention. Using condoms during sex is one of the best ways to prevent the spread of sexually transmitted infections, STIs. It's important to know that not all STIs are visible, so even if you don't see any symptoms, you should always use protection. Condoms provide a physical barrier that can help reduce the risk of transmission. Condoms come in different shapes, sizes, and materials. Choosing the right one for you can be an important part of having a safe and enjoyable sexual experience. Make sure you read the instructions on the package and follow them correctly. Remember that no condom is 100% effective at preventing STIs, but they do provide an additional layer of protection. It's also important to remember that you should use a new condom every time you have sex. Even if you are in a monogamous relationship, condoms can help protect against certain types of STIs, like herpes or HPV. No matter what kind of sex you're having, condoms are an essential part of protecting yourself and your partner from STIs. 6. Birth control is important for pregnancy prevention. When it comes to preventing pregnancy, birth control is one of the most reliable options. It can be hard to know which form of birth control is right for you, so it's important to talk to your doctor about what option may be best for you and your partner. The most common forms of birth control are condoms, the pill, the patch, and the ring. Condoms are a great choice as they are relatively inexpensive and offer protection against STIs in addition to preventing pregnancy. The pill is a hormone-based contraceptive that must be taken every day. The patch and the ring both also release hormones into the body and can be used to prevent pregnancy. It's important to remember that none of these methods provide 100% protection against pregnancy. So, if you and your partner decide to have sex, it's a good idea to use multiple forms of birth control, like condoms, in addition to a hormonal form of contraception. No matter which form of birth control you choose, it's important to use it correctly. Make sure you follow instructions carefully and don't forget to take your pill or change your patch ring as directed. Talk to your doctor if you have any questions or concerns about using birth control. 7. STIs are common and some are incurable. Sexually transmitted infections, STIs, are more common than most people realize, and unfortunately, some of them are incurable. This means that even with treatment, the infection can remain in your body and put you at risk for further health complications. Common STIs include chlamydia, gonorrhea, syphilis, HPV, genital herpes, and HIV/AIDS. In order to reduce your risk of contracting an STI, it is important to practice safer sex. This includes using condoms during sexual intercourse, being tested regularly, and getting vaccinated for certain infections such as HPV and hepatitis B. Additionally, it is important to be honest with your partner about any past or present infections and to make sure to get tested together before having sex. If you have had unprotected sex or think you may have contracted an STI, it is important to get tested as soon as possible. Early diagnosis and treatment are key to avoiding long-term health complications from many STIs. If you do receive a positive diagnosis for an incurable STI such as HIV or genital herpes, there are treatments available to help manage the virus. These treatments can help reduce the risk of transmission to partners and keep you healthy. It is important to remember that there is no shame in having an STI, and many people living with STIs lead full and healthy lives. The important thing is to take the necessary steps to protect your health and the health of your partners by practicing safer sex and getting tested regularly. 8. You can get pregnant even if you've never had an orgasm. It's a common misconception that you can't get pregnant unless you have an orgasm. This is not true. You can get pregnant even if you've never had an orgasm. This is because the male sperm, which needs to be present for fertilization, can reach the female egg even if there is no orgasm involved. If the egg and the sperm come into contact, then the chance of pregnancy increases. This means it's important to take precautions such as using condoms or other forms of birth control even if you are not planning on having an orgasm during sexual activity. You should also be aware of the different methods of contraception available, such as the pill, IUDs, and implants, to ensure you are protected against pregnancy. Overall, it is important to remember that you can get pregnant even if you have never had an orgasm. So, it's important to take all the necessary steps to prevent pregnancy. 9. Everyone's body is different. When it comes to sex, everyone's body is unique. What works for one person may not work for another. There's no one-size-fits-all when it comes to sex, and that's something to keep in mind when exploring your own sexual pleasure. Everyone has different erogenous zones, different sensitivities and preferences, and even different anatomy. What feels good to one person may feel completely different to another. It's important to remember that everyone's body is different and there's no one right way to have sex. Being aware of your own body and what feels best for you is key to having pleasurable and enjoyable sexual experiences. It's important to explore and experiment with different types of stimulation and communication to find out what works best for you and your partner. Also, it's important to note that everyone's comfort level with sex can vary. Different levels of physical contact and communication might feel comfortable or uncomfortable depending on the individual. If you're unsure about how someone else might feel, it's always a good idea to communicate about boundaries and preferences before getting into any sexual activities. 10. Talk about what you like and don't like. When it comes to sex, communication is key. Talking with your partner about what you like and don't like is important. Discussing likes and dislikes can help you both feel more comfortable during sex, as it helps set boundaries and expectations. Make sure to communicate your own needs as well as those of your partner. Listening to each other's wants and desires can help you both find pleasure and enjoyment from sex. 11. Be prepared mentally and emotionally as well as physically. Sex is not just a physical act, it can also involve an emotional and mental connection. Being prepared for sex means being prepared on all fronts, mentally, emotionally, and physically. In conclusion, being prepared mentally and emotionally as well as physically can help make the experience more enjoyable and safer for both parties involved. Take the time to think through the implications of having sex and ensure that both of you are comfortable before taking part in any sexual activity. If you enjoy the contents of this video, like, subscribe and share.